Hello and welcome back to Sun Devil Learning Labs. Today's topic is another topic on text structure. It is problem and solution for 4th grade ELA. Let's begin by going over today's objective. Our objective today is I can recognize the characteristics of the text structure, problem, and solution. So in today's lesson, we will be focusing on problem and solution that is present in a text that we are reading. Take a moment to read today's objective out loud or in your head and really focus on what we will be learning today through our lesson. Let's go over text structures. Text structure refers to the way a story is arranged or organized when it is written. Text structure also refers to how a piece of text is built. So throughout the week, we've learned about different text structures and how they apply to different types of text and how we can find them in different text. These text structures we have focused on this past week are chronological order and sequence, compare and contrast, cause and effect, and today we'll be learning about our last text structure of the week, problem and solution. So today's lesson will be all focused around problem and solution. So problem and solution. The text gives information about a problem and explains one or more solutions. The problem is stated by the author states the problem and the solution. So in a text, the author states our problem and states our solution. So we should be looking for both the problem and the solution within a text. There can be one problem and one solution, one problem with multiple solutions, and multiple problems with one solution. So it's really important to remember when we're reading that sometimes there might only be one problem and one solution, but that's not the only option, that is not the only outcome that could possibly happen with our problem and solution. We could also have one problem with multiple solutions or multiple problems with one solution. It just depends on how the author has written the text. So at the bottom, I included an example problem and solution. So the problem here is my cat got stuck in a tree. That's the problem. That is a problem. My cat is stuck in the tree. What am I going to do? What is the solution? The solution is I climbed up a ladder and I got her. So we had our problem. My cat got stuck in a tree. And then we had our solution. I climbed up the ladder and I got her. Problem solved. Problem and solution. Define and use terms relating to problem and solution. These terms might be problem, challenge, resolution, answer, and solution. Determine the main problem or challenge presented by the author. So when we're looking for problem and solution, we need to determine the main problem, or we could consider it a challenge presented by the author. Because if we don't find the problem, we're not going to be able to find the solution. Identify possible solutions or steps for solving the problem. And identify the final solution if there is one. So if a text does have a final solution, we need to identify that. We need to identify the solution that helps solve our problem. Let's look at the characteristics of problems and solutions. So characteristics of problem. Problems are an unresolved issue. Problems can be negative things. We work to try to fix problems. We work to try to fix problems with a solution. And authors write about a problem in order to list a solution. So an author is writing about a problem. So when an author is writing about a problem, they're writing about the problem in order to list a solution. We cannot have a solution without a problem. In solution, solutions are a fix to a problem. Solutions are usually seen as a good thing. And solutions are ways that an author suggests to fix a problem. So problems are more of a negative thing. They can be looked at as more of a negative, more of a bad thing. And our solutions are usually seen as a good thing, seen as something that is helping fix our problem, no matter what that problem may be. So now we're going to go over an example problem with multiple solutions. So our problem is, Cooper always wakes up late for school. Now, this problem has a couple different solutions that are possible. So for our solutions, I have Cooper should set an alarm for school. And another solution is Cooper should go to bed earlier. So for this problem, there are two possible solutions. There could even be more solutions. But this is an example of a problem with multiple solutions. If Cooper's waking up late for school, he should set an alarm. And if Cooper's waking up late for school, he should go to bed earlier. Two solutions for one problem. This is an example of multiple problems with one solution. So it's the opposite of our last one, our one problem with multiple solutions. This is an example of multiple problems with one solution. So our problems are, I failed most of my math test. I did not know how to budget my money. So what is our solution? I should put more effort into my math classes. So this is our solution because our problems being, I failed most of my math test. We put more effort into your math class, you might do better on your test. So that is our solution for I failed most of my math test. And our other problem, I did not know how to budget my money. The solution for that is also, I should put more effort into my math classes. If we don't understand how numbers work, then we're not going to understand exactly how money works as well. So our solution is the same for our first problem, being I should put more effort into my math classes. What is the importance of problem and solution? The importance of problem is the author identifies a problem in the text which causes difficulties. And our problem leads to our solution. Solution, the author identifies one or more ways the problem can be solved or corrected. Problem and solution are an important skill to understand while we are reading. Problem and solution allows readers to identify important elements of a text. And problem and solution identify the problem and the solution. Identifying the problem and the solution allows the reader to understand the text better. So if we were unable to understand the problem and the solution within a text, we would be having trouble fully understanding the text, fully understanding the plot line, the theme of our text. But with being able to understand problem and solution, it allows us as readers to better understand our text. Finding the problem and solution. Think to yourself, who was part of the problem? When did the problem happen? Why did the problem happen? What was the problem? Also think to yourself, what is the solution? What helped the problem dissolve? And why did the solution work? So when we're reading a text, these are just some questions that we could be asking ourselves to really focus on our problem and solution within a text. These questions will help us dig deeper into the text and really pinpoint exactly what our problems are, our solutions are, if there's multiple problems and solutions, or if there is just one. Some clue words. We have clue words for problem being. A problem is one reason for, because, issue, challenge, and then clue words for solution being, the solution is, so we, this led to, resolution, and therefore. So these clue words are words that we could be looking for as we are reading a text to help us as readers find the problem and the solution. So go ahead and pause the video class and go and grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and then we will begin our practice problems for our problem and solution lesson. Okay, right now everyone should have a piece of paper in front of them and a pencil. We are going to be using this graphic organizer. It's a really simple graphic organizer that we're going to be using for this lesson. On the left, you'll notice the problem, and on the right, you'll notice the solution. In the middle, we have an arrow connecting the two. We will read two short texts, and in these two short texts, we will identify the problem and the solutions in the text. With the use of this graphic organizer, this will just help us to keep organized and help us to really be able to identify our problem and our solution. So I want you guys to, on your piece of paper, draw two of these graphic organizers, one for each text. So this is super simple. We're just going to draw one box with an arrow pointing to another box. The box on the left having problem, box on the right having solution. And then draw another one of those. And then as I am reading the text, I want you guys to fill in these graphic organizers. So take a moment to pause the video if you need to and draw your graphic organizers on your piece of paper. Okay, during our readings, feel free to pause the video throughout to have more time to read. As always, look up any words that might be confusing to you. And look for the clue words that we talked about today through our lesson to help you identify the problem and the solution of the text. And as I'm reading, be sure to complete your graphic organizer. Be sure to identify our problem and our solution of each of our texts. So our first text. In the early 1800s, the United States needed room to grow. The problem was most people lived in the East. The cities were crowded. New land was expensive. Young families couldn't afford to buy farms. Then, as a solution, the United States government purchased land from France. The government also required land from Mexico. Soon the country stretched all the way to the Pacific Ocean. People looked to the setting sun with outstretched arms and said, "Go west." Settlers rode in wagons or on horses. They followed long, dusty trails across the hot plains for thousands of miles. There was no shelter. People slept in tents on the ground. They had to watch out for wild animals like wolves and snakes. The trip west could take months. Then a railroad was built that stretched from the east coast almost to the west coast. The railroad made travel faster. More people poured into the new lands. The settlers quickly built small towns where farming, fishing, and mining were good. All right, guys, so you guys should have filled your graphic organizer in with our problem and our solution, which is listed in this text. If you need to, pause the video and reread the text and find the problem and solution and put that into your graphic organizer, because in our next slide we will go over the graphic organizer. Going over our graphic organizer for that text, the problem, which was stated with a clue word, our clue word being problem, was the cities in the eastern United States were crowded and land was expensive. The solution, which was listed in the text as well, with the clue word, the solution in front of it. So we should have been able to quickly find that in our text. When we saw that word, we should have known right away. It's a clue word. This is our solution. The solution was the United States government acquired more land to the west and people built small towns on this new land. So again, we have our problem and our solution. You guys should have the same problem and solution as me written into your graphic organizers. And we are going to continue with one more short little text. And in this text, we're going to do the same thing. In your second graphic organizer, you're going to write in the problem and the solution. All right, second text, a mess with the minivan. Nathan's mom drove a minivan. She took care of it, but it always seemed to have issues. One day, Nathan was in the car with his sister while his mom drove them to visit some cousins. To get to their cousin's house, they had to cross a bridge. The bridge always had traffic, but that day was worse than normal. It seemed that there was a car accident that was causing traffic. Nathan was frustrated, but more so, he was concerned about the people in the accident. He hoped they were okay. All of a sudden, Nathan's mom said, "Oh no!" Everyone looked out the front window to see smoke rising from the hood of the car. Nathan's mom quickly turned the car off and jumped out. She opened the hood and the kids watched more smoke rise into the air. Nathan's sister began crying. As they sat in the broken down car, Nathan's mom called family members for help. She then called for a tow truck. She assured her children that they were safe and help was on the way. When the accident was cleared off the bridge, traffic began moving again. Nathan, his sister, and his mom waited in the car for family to arrive. Thankfully, the family members arrived in another vehicle that was big enough for Nathan, his sister, and his mom to ride in. Their minivan had to be towed to the shop because it was not able to be driven. They still enjoyed their visit with their cousins, and they were thankful for helping hands. So in this text, there aren't as many clue words explicitly stated like in our last text, but there still is a clear problem and a solution in our text. So if you guys need to, go ahead and pause the video and go through and find our problem and our solution and write that into your graphic organizer. In our next slide, we'll be going over that graphic organizer. All right, so for our last text, the problem was the minivan broke down on the bridge and it had to be towed. So that was our problem. The minivan broke down. What was our solution? Our solution was Nathan's family was able to come and pick them up in a larger vehicle. And they were still able to enjoy time with their family. So again, in this text, the problem and solution were not explicitly stated with exact clue words, but we should have still been able to find that the problem was a minivan broke down, and the solution was that Nathan's family came to pick them up in a larger vehicle that they could all ride in. And they still enjoyed time with their family, even though the minivan broke down. So you guys should have the problem and solution written down into your graphic organizer at this point, and it should be the same as mine, because there's only one problem and there was only one solution in our text, and these are them. Okay, let's take a moment to go over what we learned today. We learned how to identify the problem and solution text structure within a text. We learned the importance of a problem and solution within a text and what words to look for when we're looking for this text structure. We also learned how to use a graphic organizer to organize the problem and solution in a text. So that's what we did in our last few slides. We used a graphic organizer to really lay out and organize the problem versus solution in a text. And we were able to find that through locating clue words, through using what we've learned today about problem and solution and how exactly to find that in a text. You guys did great today. We had an awesome week learning all about text structure. I hope you guys enjoyed this week as much as I did, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.